How do IHL principles apply to cyber warfare? Imagine a world where conflicts unfold not just on battlefields but also across digital landscapes. Cyber warfare has become a new frontier in armed conflicts, raising questions about how international laws apply. International Humanitarian Law, or IHL, guides conduct during armed conflicts to protect civilians and limit destruction. But how do these principles work when the battlefield is now a network of computers and data? The core IHL principles, distinction, proportionality, and precautions, are still relevant in cyber warfare. The principle of distinction requires parties to tell apart military targets from civilians and civilian infrastructure. In cyber operations, this means only attacking military networks or systems directly linked to military actions. For example, targeting a military command system is allowed, but attacking a hospital's computer system, even if it has a military connection, is not. Cyber attacks that hit civilian infrastructure without discrimination are forbidden. This makes it essential to verify targets carefully and develop cyber tools responsibly. Proportionality is about balancing military advantage with potential civilian harm. In cyber warfare, this means assessing whether the damage caused by a cyber attack is reasonable compared to the military gain. For instance, disrupting a military communication network might be justified if it significantly hampers enemy operations. But if the attack causes widespread power outages or disrupts hospitals, it could be considered excessive. Because cyber effects can be unpredictable and interconnected, this assessment can be tricky but remains vital. Precautions involve planning and executing cyber operations to avoid or reduce civilian harm. This includes testing cyber tools beforehand, choosing the least harmful methods, and being ready to stop or modify an attack if civilian harm becomes apparent. For example, if an attack on a military server risks damaging nearby civilian networks, adjustments should be made to prevent that. IHL applies only when there is an armed conflict. Routine cyber activities like hacking for espionage or cybercrime are outside its scope. But once a conflict starts, cyber operations that cause physical damage, injuries, or disrupt civilian services are subject to IHL rules. This means that cyber attacks causing real-world harm are regulated just like traditional attacks. One challenge is defining what counts as an attack in cyberspace. Traditional law sees an attack as violence against an enemy, but in cyberspace, it can be less clear. Does causing data loss count, or only attacks that cause physical damage or harm? Another difficulty is deciding whether digital data or cyber infrastructure is civilian or military. These definitions were made with physical objects in mind, so applying them to digital assets can be complicated. In summary, the fundamental IHL principles still guide cyber warfare. Parties must distinguish between military and civilian targets, avoid indiscriminate and excessive attacks, and take steps to protect civilians. While applying these principles to cyber operations requires careful interpretation, the goal remains the same: to limit harm and protect civilians during conflicts. As technology evolves, so too must our understanding of how these laws work in the digital age.